all.
Hi, Val.
Happy June.
Great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get some things started. Chime in if you have announcements to make and let me know. First of all, we have 4 new members, Jenny Lum, Roberta Fox, Colleen Kivlahan, and Joseph Kotz. Many are not even from San Francisco Bay Area. We're getting people from Seattle and Southern California. So
That's nice.
it's interesting. Yeah, it's new. But we have some new members. That's good. And is John on? John Rush?
Yes, I am. Hello, Jeff.
Okay. I don't know. Can people see John?
I can, yeah.
Okay, so John is our new webmaster. So if you haven't been to our website in the last few weeks, John took over and has revamped things and tried to make it easier to get to stuff and make it easier on us. He's definitely been making my life easier. So he wanted to meet you guys and introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, thanks for having me on this meeting. I'm very excited to see how this goes in the next couple hours. Excited for our special guest from Minnesota as well. My mom is from Minnesota, so I have a little connection there. But nonetheless, as Jeff said, kind of your new webmaster here, helping with everything to do with the website, social media, email marketing, trying to grow membership and give you guys the best possible experience. And like Jeff said, new members from out of the state, out of the city. That's great. I think it's super exciting to bring more people into the world of orchids. A little bit about me. I work with a few orchid nurseries doing the same thing as I'm going to be doing with you guys. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. So thanks for having me.
Cool. All right. Any questions for John?
Welcome.
Yes. And I met John actually through Tiny Jungle. He was their webmaster. And, you know, since we started in April doing these Zoom virtual meetings because of the pandemic, we started doing these gift certificates or gift codes instead of plants for the giveaway. And John set that all up for Tiny Jungle and really, you know, coordinated how to do that for us. And that's how we met. So new things happen. So anyway, thanks, John. Back to the announcements. So POE 2021, the board, at the last board meeting, actually the last show committee meeting, we kind of powwowed on the state of things, and we made a decision to not have POE 2021 in February, but to plan to postpone and maybe have a summer show, whether it's Orchids in the Park or POE. We'll see how that all goes. But it just, in talking to Park and Rec, it seems very unlikely that they will open things up by February for us to do a real show. And the logistics would be much more complicated. And so this gives us more time to plan. So I just wanted to let people know and answer any questions about that. Okay. All right. Somebody, CD is loud. So if you can go on.
Is that better?
Hello?
Is that better?
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, good. Sorry about that.
No problem. So anyway, so POE 2021, we're planning to do something. We're just, the other thing is the way the rental and stuff works. We're actually financially in better shape than we've been in years. So between donations and the fact that we did really well at our last several shows, including POE 2020, right before all this happened, the society is in good shape. So when the time comes to do in-person shows or new programming, or even donations again for our missions around conservation, education. We're well funded to continue to do all that part of what we do, as well as to have speakers like we're doing tonight. And I wanted to bring up, besides Jason, who starts at 8, and this long title, it used to be called Orchid Logs, and then he changed it to this long name. It turns out Mary Mancini, who I think is the president of the Baton Rouge, Louisiana Society, is going to talk to us about leafless orchids next month. And then Tom Miranda, who you may know from his articles in Orchid Magazine, and he's going to be doing our August show, August talk. One thing I have done is we've asked the speakers to have a shortened format to try to aim for 30 or 40 minutes max, given that it's a lot to be online. We even had some complaints even in the live meetings that the meetings went on a little too long. So I'm going to try to get going with show and tell, and keep it moving and try to transition to the talk by 8. Okay? Any questions or other announcements? Okay. All right. Well, so let me just see. Is Jenny Lum, are you on the line?
I am on the line. I'll just start my video.
Okay. So Jenny is one of our new members, and she sent this. Can you all see this? Let me see if I can make it bigger. We'll go into.
Just started it as a slideshow. There you go.
That's good.
So now we can see you, Jenny. So
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Can we see your face or?
Yeah. So this is her Masvelia ignea. They're beautiful. Do you grow this outside, or where do you grow it?
I do. I'm in Bernal Heights, so the climate's pretty good for outside growing for my masdevallias. I have quite a few. I've had this plant probably for about 3 years, but this year I did something different. I grew it a much higher light over winter, and it rewarded me with 18 flower spikes in one go, which hasn't happened.
Wow.
So I'm very proud of it.
Great. Well, thank you and welcome. And Roberta, you're online, right?
Here.
Okay. Hi, Roberta. Roberta is also a new member and is from Costa Mesa, I believe, right?
I'm down south.
Yeah.
Oh.
So she also sent, she's a new member, and sent beautiful pictures of some blooms she has. And I tried to put them on this PowerPoint with some labels. Do you want to talk about what you sent us?
Okay, the Dendrobium cinnamorinum is the only one of the bunch that grows in the greenhouse. It's kind of marginal. I probably could grow it outside, but I don't want to chance it. It's kind of closely related. It's got the same growth pattern as Papilio, but this is the first time I've gotten 3 flowers. It blooms on the old canes, and it's just spectacular.
Beautiful.
And everything else I grow outside. I'm coastal, so my climate is really not that different from San Francisco itself. We're down on the peninsula. It is very temperate. So like that Epidendrum falcatum, that closely related to Parkinsonianum, similar growth habit, except that it grows more horizontally, and those growths are extremely brittle. That's one that doesn't go to meetings even when we have them, because they break off if you look at them cross-eyed. However, they also, when they break off, they also root pretty readily. Dendrobium wilsonii, again, it's a deciduous. I don't dry it out in the winter. Basically take my lead from Andy Phillips, who grows things pretty much on temperature, and so the deciduous dendrobiums are in the shade house with everything else, and they get watered, and it doesn't seem to matter, and this one didn't seem to care either. The Oncidium navium is just a pretty thing. The white is like crystalline, and those petals, the flowers are just kind of weird.
I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that one used to be a Odontoglossum.
It looks like it is.
And the bifrenaria inodora implies that it has no smell, but actually it has a light fragrance. And the other thing that's a little different about that one grows a lot shadier than the things like Harrisonii and Taranthina, which grow in full sun. This actually grows pretty shady. But I love fuzzy things, and that's fuzzy.
Well, that's beautiful. And they're supposed to be hard to or not many in cultivation. So that's...
Yeah, I saw that one at Andy's and said, okay, I've got to have it, potted it up, and it seems to be happy.
Well, it's gorgeous. Thank you. And welcome to you too. And let's just see here. Andrea and Andrea Ledette, you're here, right? So Andrea's Cymbidium, Dorothy Stockstill. I'm going to walk us through things, but people stop me if you have questions, because we actually have quite a lot on that. I couldn't even get everything into the PowerPoint, but stop and interrupt me if you have questions. The other, to the top left here is Andreas. Shawnee sent us quite a few of the ones up here on the top, and I see you're online. Did you want to say anything about any of them?
Sure. So the Phalaenopsis that you see there are some of my favorites. They come from the OX nursery in Taiwan. And it's hard to find things from them here, but I look for them. So the one on the left is OX Queen. It's a little bit lighter. I mean, they're all kind of, the flowers are mentioned in there together, but, and that's the OX Blackface is the one on the right, the darker one, and that has OX Queen as one of the parents. So they're just nice big plants with lots of flowers. Then the Frank Smith was one that I got with no name on it. And I was waiting and waiting to see what happened when it bloomed 3 years later to see what it might be. And fortunately, it's pretty distinctive. The white sin sepal, that's pretty large. You don't really see it so much in this picture, but that's one of the identifying features of it. So I was able to get a name on it with help from people from let me see. Oh, and we also have Phragnetissimum, which, I just lost my notes, but it was awarded in 1981 to, I think it's Ray Small at Oakland. And I got this division from Anna Chai in 2009. It's been a great plant. As you can see, it puts out quite a few flowers. So that's really a nice frag to grow. And then the other thing I have there is the Angraecum Magdaleniae, and that is blooming for the first time. I got it at Orchids in the Park from member sales, and so I'm very happy to see it finally bloom. It's known as the Queen of the Angraecums.
Very elegant.
Lovely.
Larry Roberts, you're here?
Yes, I am. Yeah, so Bulbophyllum saurocephalum, so I guess it means lizard head, and they do kind of look like little lizard heads, and they kind of open their mouths up, and they're on this weird kind of red rat tail thing. And I got this a couple years ago at Orchid Society event from Hanging Gardens, and this is the second year it's bloomed for me. This is I've only had one spike so far, but there's quite a few new growths, so I'm kind of hopeful that some of the others will put out spikes soon. They kind of look like a little asparagus when they first start. They're green, and then it gradually turns red, and then the little mouths open up.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you. And the great. And then Valerie, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's beautiful specimen of this Dendrobium unicum.
Yeah, it gave me 24 blossoms this year. So it's
2000.
24.
24
24.
blooms, 24 blooms on the spike here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's hanging down. It's so heavy. It's hanging down. You know, the other ones are pointing upwards. So it's been gorgeous.
amazing. Thank you. All right, Deborah, we have a whole page of Deborah's stuff here. She even a rose in here somewhere, I think. But Deborah, I wrote out most of the names I could find. There's some gorgeous, these buttercup colored ones in the upper left are really amazing. I think it's a BLC and a Boragera, which is like a cross hybrid between like 3 or 4 different genera, I think. You have I didn't label it, but the lower left is a Sarcochilus.
Yeah, you had to relabel that, right?
And this Boragera Nelly Isler Swiss Beauty, I used to have one of them. It died on me, but they're fragrant too, I think, right?
It's so small. I don't know. I haven't put my nose down there yet. But I don't think so. This one over here, this BLC that's in the upper left, I threw this plant away, like put it in the infirmary, thinking, too many, I waited too long for it to bloom. Then all of a sudden I saw these blooms coming out, like, wow. So I took it out of the infirmary and put it someplace pretty so I could look at it.
It is gorgeous. I love the color. And the Masdevallia is also really nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
All right. Jason, is Jason Douglas on?
You're on.
Okie doke. Do you want to say anything about your show and tell plants?
Well, the Oncidium pumila, this is its 2nd time blooming since I purchased it. I'm really happy with it. We grow it in a hot greenhouse. I mean, it gets up to 90 and down to 50 at night. And it smells, it has a very rich fragrance when you get up close to the flowers. It won't permeate the room, but it is fragrant when you smell the flowers up close.
To me, it smells like Windex.
Windex?
Windex.
The Cochleota is growing outdoors here in San Francisco. This is the first time it's produced 3 flower spikes as it's done in this blooming. The Odontoglossum is from bare root, and this is its first blooming, and I think it took 3 years from bare root for it to flower, and those flowers are very fragrant. And the Unicum, this one unfortunately is not fragrant. I love the ones that do have the fragrance. This one's bloomed beautifully this time, but there is no fragrance to it, but it's a great, I love orange, it's my favorite color, so.
Gorgeous. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oops, did I?
Oh my goodness.
There's Ron. Ron, and there's a picture of Ron, our past president, Ron Norris on the right here. Do you want to talk about any of yours?
So the one that I'm in is Oncidium hostolabium. I bought that plant at Orchids in the Park, I think it was 2017, from Equihenera. And it grew, and it was like, okay, doing okay. And then Jason said, you need to bring that plant inside, because we had it in the bottom of our greenhouse, and it was doing okay, but it never bloomed. We brought it in and put it in the window, and it grew this huge bulb, and then I'm like, oh, is it going to bloom? And then it threw up this spike, because as you can see, it's taller than I am. So I was very surprised that this plant grew out this huge spike.
It's fragrant.
It's fragrant as well. The Encyclia is one I got in Santa Barbara, and it's a fairly new cross they had, and that's quite fragrant actually. And I threw in my Adenium because it's blooming really spectacularly this year, and I know it's not an orchid, but I thought, well, okay, I'll throw in something that's not an orchid for a change. But
it's an orchid companion.
It's an orchid companion. It grows in my bedroom window, and it's very happy this year. I'm blooming like crazy.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn.
All right, Lynn.
Good job. So let's see, upper left is Encyclia or Prosthecia citrina. And I bought this from Gold Country in 2012 on a bus trip. And I grow it outdoors all year round at home, and I reliably get one flower every year. So this is this year's flower. It's a little species from Mexico. And then down below it is Lycasti Abu Ritz that Tom Pickford brought back from Cal Orchid for me in 2016. It's the first time it's bloomed. I think it's about 80% Skinneri. And then in the middle is Laelia lobata. It's probably now Cattleya lobata, variety Alba. And you can see the leaves are really, really yellowing. I grow it very high in the greenhouse and have read that the only way to get them to bloom is if you grow it very bright. So I've had 2 spikes in the past, but this year I had 9, so I was pretty pleased with that. And then on the right is Dendrobium limpidum, I think it's variety Dicioides. And I mounted it on this terracotta ball using tilly tacker in 2016. And it seems to be really happy creeping along this terracotta ball. It's just a little species from Papua New Guinea. And that's it, thank you.
What's tilly tacker?
It's a glue that the Tillandsia people use. It's tilly, you tack on Tillandsias with this glue, tilly tacker. I bought it at
Essentially silicone seal.
POE or one of those shows.
Okay, thanks.
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
There was no way to wrap it with, fishing line, so I thought, I guess I have to glue it on, see if it minds the glue.
It worked well.
Yeah.
Wow. So just FYI, looking at attendance, we're at 75 people already today. So wow, that's quite attendance. We're gonna have to get a bigger Zoom account.
Wow.
All right.
I think Zoom can take up to 300 people.
Our account's only for 100. So if we go over 100, we're gonna have to upgrade.
Okay.
That's a good problem to have. So Susan, let's see here. I didn't get all your labels on here. So
no, that's okay. So the one on the left is kind of an unusual plant. I know some people grow it. This is the first time I've ever gotten this to bloom. It's Chrysocentrum millerianum. I got it a little over a year ago when we were down on a trip to Sunset Valley Orchids, and it's really blue. It's one of
let's see here. All right, so it looks like people are dialing back in. We're up to 30 people. I'm going to go ahead and restart.
By the way, maybe those extra 70 people, half of them were the bombers.
My screen only said 55.
Yeah, mine said 56.
Good point. Well, as though it wasn't more difficult enough to do. Anyway, we'll get back on here. Let's see. So let me see. I didn't get all of the people's pictures into PowerPoint, so I'm going to convert to a different way to finish out the show and tell.
I have some live ones when you're done.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and do yours?
Might as well while you're getting the other stuff set up.
Okay, go on. So Bill Weaver is going to do us a little live thing. Do you know how to share screen?
Well, I was just going to do live like this.
All right.
And if you know how to pin, you can pin me and you can see this full size. So this is a little hard to see full size because, well, it's pretty small. It's Ascophoenicia Petite Bouquet. It's a Neophoenicia hybrid. And very small little plant. And about a couple closer here. This one is, it's labeled, and this one I got this from the Santa Cruz show. It's labeled Vanda Neophoenicia falcata.
Interesting.
So it's clearly a hybrid between a Neophoenicia and a Vanda, but it's just, the label just says V-Neophoenicia falcata. Oh, that's backwards. That's interesting. Anyway, and then let's see.
Looks like a carbonara.
That looks
Yeah.
like loosenary.
And this one's kind of a fun one. It looks like grass, but it's called Elianthus amethystinus. And the flowers are these little tiny things right at the end. Little tiny flowers. And they make little puff balls at the end of these long stems. So it looks like all the world like Sobralia, but the flowers tell you a different story. Then I got a couple of things here that I normally don't bring to a meeting because they're too big. So here's.
Well, that's saying a lot. Too big for Bill.
I know.
This is a Mitzi, and I forgot the other name. Mildred Monday. I got to get way back so you can see the bloody thing because it's in a 5-gallon pot. So it's got, you know, a dozen spikes on it. In the foreground here, there's a Loeanum Pitts. Over here, hopefully I'm not making you seasick, is a Don Sakamoto. And last time I counted, there were 9 spikes on it. And they hang all the way down there. So it's got very pendulous. And then, so I'm in the green, and if you haven't figured out, I'm in the greenhouse in Half Moon Bay. So this is where I grow most of my plants. This is something you don't see too often. This is Canaliculatum Alice. So most Canaliculatum have a very dark flower. This is not quite an alba form, but it's light. And those flowers are, maybe quarter size at the most. This is more what you expect to see from me, an Anceps hybrid. Hard to get around here and see that, but okay, let's do it. Zoom in on one flower there. How about that? And that is labeled up here. Circle of Life Top Cat by Anceps Feathered Flame. And you can see it got a little bit of the feathering on the tips of the petals there. That's about all it got. And there's another purple one up there I can't see, or you can see it way up there. And there's a whole bunch of stuff still in bloom here this time of year. And I'm on the wrong side of the aisle for that one. Sorry, hang on a second. I'm renting space in Half Moon Bay, and it's a very big greenhouse, and Audrey and I share 3/4 of it. If anybody needs 2,500 square foot of greenhouse, there's 2,500 square feet available. So there's this one. Where are we here? I don't know if you can see that.
Yep.
Okay.
Far away from me, Bill. I'd love to rent.
Is Cattleya suavis. And it has a boatload of flowers on it. You can see it all the way over there. And one of my favorite ones, which is just going out of bloom, I have one called, I think it's Cinco de Mayo. One of my absolutely favorite Anceps hybrids. Let's see here. Yeah, Cinco de Mayo, BLC Cinco de Mayo. Looks like that. So, of course, I'm hoping you get better
Beautiful.
resolution than I am because the color on it is just amazing on that
That's
lip.
beautiful, yeah.
And then a couple other, another Mitzi Mabel down that aisle. And it's hard to do this backwards, but one other Mitzi. This one's in a 5-gallon as well, so it made it to one show a very long time ago, but it hasn't left the greenhouse since it's too big to freaking move anymore. So it's a Mitzi Mabel, and what I like about it, it has really, really, really long spikes, and they just go all the way to the floor, so they're like 4 foot long. And And that's it for the grand tour.
So, Bill, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Your feathered flame hybrid, is
Yes.
that Robiligiana, Lelianthus robiligiana? That was Frank Fordyce's one of his favorite parents.
Oh, okay.
And I do believe it's Robiligiana.
Might be. I'm really bad with names.
He used that for a lot of crosses. It makes a smaller flower than a lot of the anceps, but it's got those caloric splashes to them. It's very cool anceps.
And it's a blooming beast. I mean, look at that one little 8-inch pot. And look at all the flowers sticking out of that 8-inch pot. That's just one side of it. So it just blooms and blooms and blooms. So right now we're getting the late season hybrids in, and of course a few other non-orchids like the epis are coming in bloom. They call it orchid cactus, but it's a cactus, not an orchid. So that's enough. I've shown enough.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay.
All right, so back to the scheduled program. Let's see here. I've got a few more in my PowerPoint here.
There we go.
So Susan was late in the midst of presenting when we got interrupted. I don't know if you talked about the Schonorchis, it's a gorgeous plant on the right here, or the is it Promenia ovalanum? That's an amazing. Those have some amazing flowers as well.
Wow.
Dave, is Dave back on? I don't know if Dave Hermeyer's back on. So Dave sent these, Barcaria spectabilis in the lower right, Sidera japonica, that's a sort of lemon fragrant, or some say lemon pledge fragrant. It's kind of like a relative of a phale, I think. And then he has this Scaphocephalum gibberosum in the middle here, and this Epidendrum blepharistes. The flowers up here on the left, and in the middle of the screen, he's got his hand. He's just showing how long the spike is with the little flower at the top.
Huh.
Then in the lower left, he has a prolifically flowering Maxillaria tenuifolia, the kind of coconut orchid, which I think lots of people sent pictures of those, and so I think it is the season for them. So. Tanya, I see you're on. You have some beautiful colors and flowers we don't often see. Do you want to talk about them?
Sure, real quick. I'm having some trouble with connection, so I will speak when I can.
Okay.
White color is a Sarcochilus harmonii. I grow it outdoor in San Jose. It blooms a lot, so I have 2 plants. This is just one of many spikes.
And then the Vanda,
summer, I put it in a little bit of water on the bottom and water twice a week. The middle, I'm sorry, question?
Oh, no, you interrupted for a minute. Then you came back.
All right, the Vanda is Vanda Fuchs Delight by Michai Blue. It has more spikes coming out. It's quite big plant. Beautiful purple. Bottom is the Epi Parkinsonianum. I have several, and this is one of my early first orchids from Andy's Orchids, and now I have a few more from Cow Orchids. And in comparison, these flowers are much bigger than the newer plants I got from Cow, so I'm not sure why. I don't have a variety name, but it just, and as somebody said earlier, it's very brittle. It broke easily. I actually broke most of the growths about 8 years ago when I repotted it. And I stuck it in a jar of water and they rooted, so now it's back.
Wow. Hardy.
Very easy to grow.
Is the purple one the Vanda, is that a cool grower?
I grow it in the greenhouse. It probably could be outside in the summer, but it has Fuchs Delights, which I think is warm. So I grow it in the greenhouse. It gets very hot and a few days are over 100 degrees. But then at night it's pretty cool down to, in the winter, it's heater is set to 56, but sometimes it's just in the either the low 50s or the high 40s. It never gets to 60, rarely.
Uh-oh, what I do?
Looks like I had some connection issue.
No.
Oh, I think Jeff did it.
It's me.
Here we go.
Hold on. Sorry. I
All
clicked on the wrong thing. I love this. What's the one on the bottom? Still Mitsutara.
So the pinkish orange is the Cattleya hybrid. It's called Stella Artaara, Cattleya. It blooms about 6 times a year. It's one of my favorite. It's almost always in bloom. Got it from Carmela Orchids in Hawaii years ago. And the one above yellow is Iwanagara, Apple Blossom Golden Beauty from H&R. I have on the top right here, Maxillaria tenuifolia aurea, which I never seen around here. I don't know if you have, but this is a piece of orchid I got from Kenching in Hawaii. And when I was doing business there a couple years ago, he had a big plant, so I asked him for a piece. He actually gave me 2 small pieces, and I gave one away to someone in Kona when I gave a talk there. I traded that with some other orchids. But its first bloom for me, it's still in a 2 1/4 inch pot. First bloom for me, it got 3 buds.
Is it fragrant like the others?
Yes, same fragrance like the red. And then the red Renanthera is called Scarlet Yucca. It's a Imshutiana by, I believe, Philippines. I think that's it, right, Jeff?
That is. Well,
thank you.
Thank you. So I just want to do a time check. Let me just look here. We are at 10 minutes till 8. So Jenny, you said you were in communication with Jason. I don't see him online. Is he still logging in? Or you're on mute. Okay. Well, we have more to go, so we'll just keep going. I don't see Jason online yet, so we'll keep going till he logs in. So we're going to switch
You've seen him talk.
to a different format here. So give me just 1 second.
Did you see my message, Jeff?
I did not.
Oh, he said he's going to log in about 5 minutes.
Okie doke, good. Well, thank you. Is John McKellen on? Let's see if John. All right. All right. Well, I'm going to go to, let's see here. Bear with me 1 second.
Mary Garrettson.
Yeah, there's all kinds of people we let in. Just kidding. Hi, Mary. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's see. So this is my Draculas have been blooming like crazy outside, so I thought I would just kind of share some pictures of those. And we have a huge list of other people that sent in. Wait a second, what's it doing here? And I just was going to show this one movie just to kind of give a feel of that space. So it's in a fog area. I've shown this to people before, I think, but have a whole area where I've got these guys blooming under the greenhouse. Under the patio, not under the greenhouse, under the deck. All right, let's see here.
Correct.
Go to a different.
Got two.
All right. So Jan and Fred, you sent me a bunch of pictures. I think these are yours. Are you guys back on? Well, they were on, they logged off. I'll just flip through them. They had this Angular Cassie virginalis, and then Stelia africana, bud and blooms. Catasetum, no ID cat, and
I
Cymbidium.
think I'm here now,
Oh, hey.
but I can't see what you're putting up except I can see a few. That's Cattleya conhamiana. You can see it behind me on the table, but it's got 3 blooms and it blooms
Same plant.
always. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's a little loud with someone's TV is. There we go. That's better. Sorry, let me get back.
Someone needs to mute themselves so we don't hear their TV.
All right, well, we're experiencing all the fun of Zoom tonight. So, these were more of Jan's, I think. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna move. All right. Let's see if there's a better way to do this. Stop share. Reshare.
Jeff, you were just showing, was that a Semperpedium that you were just showing?
It is.
Yeah.
It's an in situ one. So John Russell. I think he's on. He's not. So John McCallan sent some of these. Let me go back and find it. Did you have a question?
I was just like, who's growing those around here? You've answered the question.
I think he's found it in situ somewhere else, actually.
Oh, okay.
Why isn't it doing that?
There's a guy in the Peninsula Society that grows them, but he has a refrigerator dedicated to keeping them over the winter.
Oh, looks like we've got Jason.
That's an expense.
Oh yeah, but he grows them, blooms them, and well, they don't die, so that's a good sign.
All right. Well, Jason, good timing. So we've had some excitement before you arrived. I'm going to stop show and tell. And,
oh, there's Jim with his phone.
Let's see here. How do I go? Here. All right. So can people see this again?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So Jason, you're online. Are you off mute?
In here.
I am now.
So we got bombed a little earlier on and had to shut down and restart and have experienced some of the fun of Zoom tonight. But we have a pretty good attendance. I think we're back over 40 some odd attendees. We were up to 70 at one point, but maybe they were the bombers. I don't know.
But you're not keeping control of it.
Anyway, just want to thank
So
you.
I did it.
If everyone else would go on, please. All right, am I gonna have to mute people? Let's see here.
Heidi Arno's phone that's doing that, it says.
Yeah,
If you're not Jason, you should be muted.
all right, everyone mute but Jason. Thank you. Good
And I'm
job.
supposed to mute.
All right. So I'm going to introduce Jason. He sent his bio.
Everybody mute for Jason. So
He did put it into the newsletter.
all of us have to be muted except the speaker.
Okay. Yes,
Jerry,
Jerry. You
Jerry,
need
you are not muted. You are not muted, Jerry. We can hear you.
I got it.
Hi.
All right. So Jason joins us from Plymouth, Minnesota. He runs Orchids Limited with his father and helps manage it. His father's Jerry Fischer, and has had a lifelong education in orchids from the opportunity of being in a family-run orchid business. He did a stint in Japan and got interested in Japanese orchid species and added that niche back to the business, and has sort of joined the orchid world from an early age, took an interest in hybridization and lab work. He says at 14 years of age, starting with, Phalaenopsis, and I lost my page. What did I do here? Here we go. Caught me reading. Gave his first lecture on Neophonetia at the Minnesota Orchid Society in 2004, and has traveled for lectures across North America. He's interested in photographing orchids in situ and has done so in Japan, North America, Singapore, Malaysia, and Western Australia. And his interests include hybridizing Vanda falcata varieties and Phragmopedium. So with that, Jason, I'm going to turn it over to you. And let's see how we're going to do this.
Let everybody know how to make me the main screen. You go to those three dots and you pin me, so then I'm on the main screen for you. And then I believe I should be able to share my screen as it is, so I can do that too.
All right.
Now, if you hear the chirping in the background, we have koki frogs in here. If you've been to Hawaii, you know what they are. They come in on boxes when we get shipped in from Hawaii, and we let them go in the greenhouse. And of course, they only chirp at night. So you're going to hear these chirpings throughout the night.
That's not a bird?
No, those are frogs. Although we do have birds in here too.
I got one of those in a Nepenthes from Hawaii once. He stayed in my greenhouse for 3 years. Loneliest sound ever. One koki frog, 3,000 miles from the nearest other koki frog.
We got two in here. They keep each other company. What I'll start out with doing is I've got since it's night here, it's getting dark. I took a bunch of pictures of the nursery today to give you a quick walkthrough, a little virtual tour of the greenhouse, and then I'll go through the lecture on PowerPoint. And then after that, I'll do a hands-on demo of creating some of these unique techniques of growing orchids with. I can show you how that works. Jeff, you need to enable me to be able to share my screen. It says that's not enabled. So once we can do that, I can fire up the PowerPoint.
All right. Let's see.
I think make him co-host would be the easiest and safest.
Yeah, that's usually how we do it, co-host.
All right. Let me figure out how to do that. Let's see. Sorry. One second. I'm getting there.
Sure, no problem. While you're waiting, I'll give you guys an update. As you may know, I'm in Minnesota, so we're just outside of Minneapolis here. Thankfully, this suburb, Plymouth, is just far enough away where it's very safe. We didn't have any businesses boarding up windows and things like that, but even the next door cities here had to board up their windows and take extra precautions and have curfews. But thankfully, this morning, a bunch of the National Guard went home, and a lot of the looting and the violent vandalism is dropped quite a bit. So it's mostly peaceful protesters now with a little bit of wildness here and there. But nobody cares about burning down an orchid nursery, so we're lucky in that sense.
All right. I think you are now co-host.
Okay, let's give this a shot. share screen. And we'll go here.
It
Do you
works.
see my PowerPoint screen now?
It is perfect.
Okay. There we go. I changed the title. I changed to aesthetics of orchids as well, because that's really more what this is about. But I'm going to go through these interesting techniques of growing orchids that we've come up with over the years that look nice, but they're also very functional. That's what you want in growing plants. And one of the main unique units you're going to see is this one on the cover here, the jungle log. And I'll go all over it through the presentation in a moment here, and then I'm going to build one live for you, because a lot of times seeing it live is a lot better than seeing it slide by slide. You'll have a better understanding of how it works. I'm going to start with show and tell. So we're a nursery consisting of 4 greenhouses, about 15,000 square feet of growing space. So it's a a good medium-sized business, I would say. This is our cool house. So here we try to mimic the conditions that you guys naturally get in the Bay Area.